What is going on, guys? Naeem Al-Obeidi here. We're going to be taking a look at some price predictions today for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple, because as you can see with Bitcoin's daily chart, if you actually pay attention to this histogram, we are starting to see more sellers come in than buyers, but on the 4 hour, it's a completely different chart where the RSI is oversold, so it's looking a little bit bullish, and that's actually why we're going live right now at 3:45 a.m. So make sure you guys like this video since I'm putting in all this effort at this early time, but I'm super excited to talk about what I'm seeing right now with Bitcoin's price prediction coming into 2019 and the new year. And we've also got some headlines to cover, including Ethereum's upcoming hard fork, what to expect and what you need to know, alongside with some developments with Ripple and some expansion on the fundamental side as well as the technical side. So let's first go ahead and dive into Bitcoin and take a look at what we're seeing right now. And what I'm talking about when I say the 4 hour looks a little bit more bullish than the daily is the fact that you can see this RSI completely oversold. We're starting to see this histogram looking like it's about to start heading upwards with more buyers coming in. But the biggest issue right now, in my opinion, is the fact that if we were to go on this daily chart, which is a lot more powerful than the 4 hour chart, we are on the descent and it's extremely bearish in comparison to every other time frame. And if you take a look at the volume here, you can see we're seeing a lot more sell volume than buy volume, which means there are more sellers in this market right now and they are in full control right now, which is why we put out signals on our Discord daily. By the way, if you guys are not on our Discord, the link is also in the description below. We've been posting awesome signals, making tons of profits, not just in crypto, but also in Forex. And we're also going to be adding some stock signals soon as we add onto our analyst team. So make sure to go to the link in the description for our Discord. But we're also going to be taking some live questions throughout this live stream. So we have Randy, Tetra Dragon, and Coach K on. So welcome to the live stream, guys. But let's go ahead and just first dive into Bitcoin's price prediction and then go into Ethereum and Ripple. So looking at the daily chart, what I want you guys to take a look at is the fact that we're still below these three moving averages. We've got the 50, the 100, and the 200-day moving average right now, and we slightly went above that 50-day, but we broke right down below it, and so that's an extremely bearish move here. You can also see it's almost like we've formed this double top here as well, so we're seeing some formations that are showing bearish signs, as well as the fact that we've got more sellers here, as you can see with this volume, than buyers. Now, the other thing I want you guys to pay attention to on this daily chart is this histogram for the MACD. So you can start to see this blue line, which is the fast length, is starting to curve down, and we're also starting to see that red build up, which is showing that more sellers are in this market right now than buyers. So a lot of you guys are on this 4 hour chart, you're saying that this is a bullish chart just because we're seeing this RSI completely oversold, but I want you to realize what's happening here. We actually bounced on 30, right? So the thing with the RSI is if it goes below 30, I want the RSI to go right above 30 immediately afterwards, because that means that it's truly oversold and people are reacting to it. The problem is when the RSI goes below 30 and stays below 30 and then finds resistance below 30, that's showing that there's abnormal activity, and not only are we oversold, but we're continuing to be sold even lower. And that's what I want you guys to pay attention to, because if we're also to go into this weekly chart and take a look at this volume, you can see right now we bounced off of this 200-day moving average, and now we're starting to head back down towards that 200-day moving average, which could potentially act as a support level for Bitcoin, and that's going to be right around that 3,200 to 3,300 level. And in that case, I wouldn't be surprised for us to then see some sort of bullish move, but right now I would be extremely cautious with where Bitcoin is at right now, because we may see a slight fake out on this 4 hour and see some buy volume come in, which might take this price up a little bit. But at the end of the day, if we look at this daily chart, once again, all signs showing bearish. So be very careful right now when trading Bitcoin. If you guys look at our most recent SIG right now, I put out a short, and the reason I put that short out with a medium term length is because I am expecting us to start heading back down, if we were to pull up this weekly chart, towards that 200-week moving average. Sorry, I said 200-day moving average earlier, but I meant 200-week moving average, and I would expect us to most likely find support along that 32 to 3,300 level before we can make any more assumptions of where price level is headed. Now, let's say price action does dip below that 200-week moving average. That's going to be a lot worse for Bitcoin, because at that point, we're going to go ahead and have to, utilize other indicators, because at that point, these moving averages are going to become unusable. So let's go ahead and take a look at XRP, because we've also got some amazing news. I might actually want to just dive into this news before I get into the price predictions. So you can see this headline says, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse says banks are poised to flip the switch on XRP. So let's take a look at the fundamental side. If you read this article, it says banks and financial institutions are poised to integrate the digital asset XRP. He believes 200 banks and financial institutions that have joined Ripple's network are gearing up to utilize XRapid, which uses XRP to boost cross-border payments. Now, for those of you that don't understand how Ripple works, right now they are partnered with a ton of banks. They have a legitimate company. They have an amazing CEO, Brad Garlinghouse, but they're not necessarily utilizing XRP as much. As a matter of fact, if you go into this article and go to the bottom here, it says here, Ripple owns about 60% of the total supply of XRP. Ripple has the majority of its XRP locked in escrow and regularly sells portions of its holdings to institutions and cryptocurrency exchanges, which is why it's also brought a lot of controversy to Ripple. So that's something I want you guys to talk about in the comments below. Make sure to like this video, by the way, if you guys are watching this live. We want to make sure that you guys are appreciating and valuing this content, and the likes definitely help. But you can see here, if we were to continue this article, it says people are starting to use XRapid because it's better, faster, and cheaper. And then I found this other article on Reddit that says here the Euro Exim banks dumped Swift for Ripple's XRapid after a lost transaction. So if you don't know, Swift is Ripple's competitor. So what we're starting to see is Ripple make more movements into this market and actually legitimizing its cryptocurrency approach. And what I mean by the cryptocurrency approach is we were seeing a lot of these companies with all of these amazing cryptocurrency quote-unquote ideas, but a lack of execution. And what we're seeing with Ripple is the opposite. We're seeing execution. We're seeing more partnerships every single day. You guys are most likely looking at headlines all the time about Ripple making new partnerships, partnering with new banks. And so that, in my opinion, is very positive for Ripple. So let's take a look at Ripple's technical analysis here. We're going to be doing the Ripple to Bitcoin chart, because once again, if we were to look at XRP to USD, it's pretty much going to be matching what we're seeing with Bitcoin, and that is pretty much universal alongside all other cryptocurrencies, which is why you always want to look at the Satoshi value when valuing altcoins. It's extremely important because, as you can see with this chart, if you were to hold Ripple from September till now instead of Bitcoin, you would have more Bitcoin in your wallet than you would have if you were to just hold Bitcoin. So understanding Satoshi value is extremely important. If you guys don't understand that, get into our Discord, get into our crypto chat, and start asking questions, because we've got analysts on 24/7. We're constantly adding value. Once again, the link is in the description below. And by the way, we had some awesome Forex signals recently here with Brent, and a ton of profits being made. And cool thing is here, by the way, if you go to this crypto chat, you can see even Brent predicted exactly what was going to happen to Bitcoin when this crash occurred, which is pretty cool. We'll actually pull it up right here. See, before we even dropped, it was predicted. So if you guys want amazing analysis, make sure to get into the Discord, because we are posting things almost to the T, just because I vetted out all the analysts that are on there. And once again, we want to make sure we bring you guys the most amount of value. So like the video if you guys appreciate all of that. But let's go ahead and move into XRP. Sorry for getting sidetracked. I always get sidetracked. But you can see here, we're seeing an ascending support level here. If we're to draw this ascending support level out right now, you can also kind of notice that we're starting to consolidate a little bit, and we're seeing that resistance right along that 1.7 million Satoshi mark. What is that? 1,073 107,000 Satoshis. Sorry, I hate reading Satoshis because you have to read the decimal values, and it's kind of hard when we're live because of the screen distance. But we're right around that 107,000 Satoshi mark where we're finding that resistance, and we're starting to see a little bit of consolidation. And you can see we're starting to see some sell volume pick up here on that daily chart. So at this point, if I were to hold Ripple, I would ensure that you have your stop losses set up right around that 83,000 Satoshi mark, because if we were to break down below that, that would also be breaching this moving average here in orange, which is the 50-day, and that could be bad for Ripple. But at this point, in my opinion, it is still a good hedge against Bitcoin. And if I were to assume where price level is going to be headed, I would also want to actually insert another indicator here just to see where the EMA is at here, because the EMA will really give you an idea of momentum. And if we actually pull that up here, you can see the EMA is right here on the back. And what we're looking to see is price action above the EMA. And you can see here we don't see price action above the EMA. Currently, price action is below this EMA. So if I were to position myself in Ripple in a bullish sense, I would be waiting to see price action above that exponential moving average. And that, in my opinion, is what's going to confirm whether or not we're still going to continue to see higher price levels for Ripple against Bitcoin. But at this point, we're kind of in a weird phase. We're between that 50 and that 100-day moving average, and we're starting to get close to that ascending support level, in which, if it is breached, might be extremely bearish for Ripple. So if we were to assume price predictions right now, the low side would be right around that 84,000 Satoshi mark, which is why I said to set those stop losses right around that mark, because if we were to start breaching towards that 100-day moving average, things could start looking worse. But in terms of upside, if we were to actually look at previous resistance levels, we've found resistance alongside that 108, 107,000 Satoshi mark in the past, and you can see really the only time we've surpassed that was when we had this huge run up in December. So I'd be quite cautious with Ripple right now, knowing that we are at these resistance levels, and there is that possibility where this triangle could go ahead and go bearish. So be very careful with Ripple right now. Watch the EMA, and that's what I would say with Ripple, in my opinion. Let's dive into Ethereum. If you guys don't know, Ethereum is going through a hard fork. Ethereum's Constantinople hard fork, what to expect, what you need to know. I have the link to these articles in the description below. If you guys want to go in, you pretty much don't have to worry much about Ethereum right now, because of the fact that the major exchanges all value Ethereum as a cryptocurrency, being the second largest cryptocurrency. Therefore, the majority of exchanges will be supporting the hard fork, so there shouldn't be much user side attention with this fork, but just know that they're constantly upgrading their platform. This constant normal update is something we've been waiting for quite some time, and it's definitely going to go ahead and increase transaction speeds with a lot of other additions. So check out that article if you guys want to take a look at that. I just want to go ahead and talk about this weekly chart before we get into anything. So the cool thing about Ripple, and what I like about Ripple, is the fact that if we looked at the volume in December and where things are at, you can see the volume today is very similar to the volume that we've seen in December. And that's something that's pretty unique here, because if you look at XRP, we're not necessarily seeing the same volume from December. If you look at Bitcoin, definitely not seeing the same volume we saw in December. When we look at Ethereum against Bitcoin, we are seeing very similar levels of volume, which is extremely bullish in my opinion. And if we were to go ahead and pull up this daily chart and take a look at what's happening with Ethereum, you can see we're starting to consolidate and descend down towards that 100 and that 50-day moving average, and we bounced right on top of that 200-day moving average. What does that mean? Well, in my opinion, when you're in between moving averages, that's actually a positive sign of reasonable price levels, right? Understand this, Ethereum right now, if we were to take a look at USD value, is at around $119. Now, when Ethereum was at $119 last year, Bitcoin was way below the levels they are at right now. So Ethereum, in my opinion, could be a little bit undervalued right now. People may have dumped too much Ethereum, is pretty much what I think is happening here, because at the end of the day, if we look at the Satoshi value, we are at these lower support levels. It doesn't look like we're going to go below this support level of right around, looks to be 2.3, I guess that's 2.3 million Satoshis. It's actually cutting out the decimal values. Satoshis are hard to read, but you can see here it's 0.02. So that's right about, I'm pretty sure, 2.3 million Satoshis right here. And that right now is acting as a strong support level. So in my opinion, if we were to bounce off of this 100-day moving average and see more buyer volume come in, that could be a sign of an entry for Ethereum on the long-term sense. Because once again, if you guys are part of our trading group on Discord, recently we've taken a different approach with trading. We're not necessarily swing trading as much as we used to because of the bear market. So we're taking advantage of the volatility on a day-to-day basis and staying as liquid as possible by day trading and not keeping trades overnight, or at least trying not to, and if so, keeping them only for a couple of days, because of the fact that we are in this bearish market. So right now with Ethereum, in terms of Satoshi value, it looks like we're starting to consolidate down to these lows near the support level, and now it's just a matter of when are we going to start to see more buyer volume come in. And if you guys kind of notice, there's a little bit of a repetitive pattern in what I'm talking about, and it's always the volume. Why is volume so important? Well, understand this, the markets are all about buyers and sellers. So in order to justify a bullish market, we need to justify that there are more buyers than sellers, and that's what we're lacking right now especially with Bitcoin and also Ethereum right now, and that's what I'd be waiting for in order to justify any higher price levels. And at that point, what I would say is we definitely could bounce off of that 100-day moving average, head towards that 200-day moving average, which is going to be a pretty awesome trade if we were to make that trade. But at that 200-day moving average, I would go ahead and take profits, because once again, I wouldn't just go ahead and dump money into this market for the long-term sense, especially with the uncertainty of all of the regulations and the uncertainty of this technology right now, being the fact that there are other blockchains like EOS and things that are coming up that could wipe Ethereum away. So let's take a look at some of our live audience questions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed some of this technical analysis. Really, I wanted to cover Bitcoin's technical analysis more than anything, just being the fact that a lot of people are seeing some bullish signs on this 4-hour, but at the end of the day, they're not paying attention to the bigger picture on the daily chart and realizing that we are still in a seller's market. A majority of this market is controlled right now by sellers. So let's take a look at who we have online. Monkey Magic, Mike, David Zai, Crypto Friends, David. Why don't you guys, number one, like this video if you guys appreciate me going live at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, because I care so much about you guys, and I saw this amazing development here with Bitcoin. But more than that, let's go ahead and ask some really thought-provoking questions before we exit this live stream. So David says, good luck to your crypto friends. Crypto Friends says ETH no use case. I wouldn't say that, but I see where you're coming from. You know, CryptoKitties is quote unquote the best use case that Ethereum has right now, but they only have a couple hundred users that are active. So that's not necessarily a good use case. But there have been a lot of companies that have raised funds with Ethereum, and you have to understand that they're not going to want their funds to be devalued. So they're going to try their best to keep the market up and prop it up as much as possible. So it does have use case in that sense, in which that they have been raising, you know, a lot of funds have been raised using Ethereum. So RS Nerd 008 says, is now a time to accumulate, or would you buy and hold now too? So great question. That's exactly what we talked about earlier. In my opinion, right now, it's not the time to accumulate. It's not the time to buy and hold, only because we are still in a very strong bear market. Once again, if you look at this Bitcoin weekly chart, you can see a lot less volume here than what we saw in December. So in order to justify price levels that were reached in December, we're going to have to also see the same amount of buyers come in, and we're not seeing that right now. So you got to be extremely careful in a market that's trending down when trying to determine whether you want to hold the asset for the long term, because once again, the opportunity, in my opinion, right now is in the day-to-day volatility and day trading. And that's why we shifted our signals a little bit, and we're starting to do more signals on the day trading side where we're not trying to keep things overnight. Eduardo Benitez says, King Naeem is back. I've always been around. If you guys don't know, you've seen a ton of changes happen to our Discord. I've been working really hard on the back end. We also have a brand new, course coming out. We got a ton of stuff coming out. I don't want to talk too much about it right now. One exciting thing that I will share with you guys right now is I just found a broker that uses the MT4 platform, which in my opinion is the most user-friendly platform on mobile devices. And they actually allow you to trade not just Forex, not just stocks, all the cryptocurrencies and everything through this broker. So we're actually going to start teaching people to utilize this broker, and then also incorporate that with our Discord, where we're sending out daily crypto, daily Forex trade alerts, and soon to be stock alerts. So that's something that is super exciting, and I'm going to be working on that soon to release that to you guys. Johnny M. Cole says, yo, what's up, Johnny? Good to have you on. Tony says, Naeem, thanks for keeping me company while at the gym. You're very welcome, Mr. Corona. Pump that iron, bro. Johnny M. Cole says, EOS has PvP Hold'em poker. Boom. Yeah, you see a lot of these betting companies built on these platforms just because of the ease of use with crypto and digital currencies. Crypto Secret says, Bitcoin double bottom or lower lows, bro? Well, once again, if we were to do or see a double bottom, I'd love to see the double bottom here on the 200-week moving average, right around that 32 to 3,300 level, in order for us to start to see some sort of consolidation. Because at this point, we just want to stop trending down. That's what's happening right now. If you go to this 4-hour chart and you look at what's been going on, every time we go and see any sort of bullish move, it's followed by a very bearish move. If we go on this daily chart, it might be easier to see. So you can see every time we go up, sellers bring it right back down. Every time it tries to go up, sellers bring it back down. Every time it tries to go up, it went and broke above that 50-day moving average, which was a huge feat for Bitcoin because it's been below that 50-day moving average for a really long time, but it still broke down. If we actually pull up the EMA too, this might actually show us some stuff as well, the moving average exponential. Once again, we want to see price action above the moving average exponential. You can see it went above that moving average exponential. It popped right above that EMA, which is extremely bullish. But what happened? Sellers came in. More sell volume than buy volume. Brought it right back down. Look, now it's below that EMA. Extremely bullish. So not only does it have to fight against that 50-day moving average, but it also has to fight against that EMA now, which is why I am, assuming that we're going to start to see lower price levels, and that this 4-hour, fake out is just going to be a fake out. And once again, there is no buy volume here. Look, sell candles here, all sell candles, all sell bars. Nothing here showing buyers. If I were to change my opinion on Bitcoin's price level, it would only be because of the fact that we see a large buy volume bar come in, but we just haven't necessarily seen that yet. Even though it happened prior, you can see we did see a little bit of buy volume here, but what ended up happening? More sellers than buyers. They were able to bring it right back down. And that's why, once again, we are in a bear market, and in my opinion, it's not the best time to hold and accumulate. So Mr. Tosh says, hey, Naeem, likes up. Thank you guys for liking the video. Once again, it means a lot for you guys to like our videos, to show your support here in order for us to continue adding as much value as possible to each and every one of you guys. Rigo Berto says, yes, TRX, please. We'll take a look at some other coins possibly. Hit capitulation yet? I don't know if it's just yet, Crypto Secret. The reason being is I still see more seller pressure in this market than buyers. And also, if we look at this histogram, yes, the 4-hour looks a little bit bullish, but the daily is more powerful and it's extremely bearish. So that fast length, this blue line, this fast length is a momentum indicator, and you can see it crossed right below that slow length, which is a very bullish sign, bearish sign, I'm sorry. Johnny M. Cool says 200 week is the key. Good bounce coming off of it, then moon or hell. Yes, and that's exactly what our analyst Brenton Walker also believes is about to happen. If we actually pull up Brenton's chart here, he predicted Bitcoin dropping before it dropped, right? So that's why it's important for you guys to be on our Discord. If you're not on our Discord, the link is in the description below. Get into our Discord. It's free. You can get in there and enjoy our stock and crypto and Forex chat. And then if you guys want the premium signals, of course, that's a little bit more of a premium feature, and you can join our Patreon with patreon.com/snipers or tradersprofitclub.com. But anyways, that's exactly what Brenton is also assuming. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Johnny. He's also assuming that we're going to start to see this drop and then eventually start to see the rise back up. And that would also go in conjunction with the analysis that we gave today during the live stream, in which we believe that, once again, if we were to pull up this weekly chart, that we were going to start to go ahead and go right back down to that 200-week moving average as we did previously, and then form that double bottom there, which could hopefully act as the bottom for Bitcoin. But once again, very, very, very unlikely in my opinion, just because we're not seeing that volume, and we need to see that volume come in. Now, there are a lot of people saying that more money is going to be coming in, and billions of dollars from Dubai are going to jump into the market. VCs are going to start investing once regulations are more clear, and all of these different rumors. But once again, these are all rumors, and we've heard this time and time again. So we don't want to be fooled by these rumors, and just keep that in mind, guys. Johnny says, I have procrastinated. I will get in today. That is hilarious, Johnny. I know you've been on our live streams for quite some time. I can't believe you haven't been in our Discord, man. Get into our Discord. Date says, any thoughts on TRX? Well, because 2 people asked, I'll go ahead and pull up the TRX BTC chart. We're not going to do the USD chart once again. This is looking really good. Amazing, as a matter of fact, in terms of Satoshi value. Once again, if you don't understand how Satoshi value works, if you were to hold TRX instead of Bitcoin since November of 2018, you would have more Bitcoin than if you were to just hold Bitcoin, being the fact that we have this huge trend up. Now, what I also like about this graph is that we're seeing buy volume come in more than sell volume this weekly. If we pull up the daily chart, also seeing more buy volume. So this is actually looking quite bullish. We just popped above this EMA. We're above all these moving averages. Now, the one thing I don't like about this chart is the fact that these moving averages are so low in comparison to the price action. What that could mean is we're seeing unreasonable price levels. It kind of looks like, to me, price levels are more reasonable around that 300 to 400 Satoshi mark rather than that 600 to 700 Satoshi mark. So is Tron overvalued right now? I think that's the biggest question. And we'll, honestly, in order to deem this analysis, valid, I would have to do some fundamental analysis on Tron, because At the end of the day, we have to find out why is it trending up, right? We know that Justin Sun has been helping projects. He's been giving out funds to different projects. So we know that he's trying to build the developer side of his network. And we also know that he is quite a public figure in China. So those are two things that I know fundamentally for Tron that are bullish, but at the same time, we have to understand why has Tron been trending up since November in comparison to Bitcoin, and that's more of a fundamental analysis in my opinion. But if we were to look at this technical, things are looking quite well. I mean, it's quite similar to how Ripple has been trending up against Bitcoin, but Tron has been even more of a, it's been even more of an extreme run-up in comparison to Bitcoin. If we actually compare Tron and Ripple and look at Ripple, you can see with Ripple we're closer to these moving averages. So if you were to ask me what is the best hedge, is it Ripple or Tron? I would say the riskier hedge would be Tron, but the more consistent and stable, and I would say less risk, hedge would be Ripple, being the fact that we're near these moving averages. And then not only that, we are validating every single time they make new partnerships with banks, in which we're not doing that with Tron, right? Tron is more of, it's more like Ethereum where, we need to rely on use case of platforms that are built on it. And of course, we haven't seen much use case on Tron, Ethereum, or EOS, or any of these blockchains. And so it's a little bit more risky in my opinion. So in terms of price action though, with this RSI, things are bullish. I'm not going to deny that. You can see we're bouncing off of that 57. Anything over 60, in my opinion, between 60 and 70 is a bullish sign. You never want to enter when it's over 70, but it's not a bad idea to enter when RSI is between 60 and 70, because that 60 to 70 is that threshold in which we can bounce back and forth and see higher price levels. So quite bullish in my opinion. Tron is looking quite well. Thank you for mentioning that. Lay says Tron DApps are picking up. Well, that's a good thing to know. But understand, none of those DApps have major use case, or else I would have heard of it. Crypto Secret says, I really think alts are dangerous right now. I'm a Cardano guy, but if BTC drops, all alts will bleed. And that's why I don't recommend holding these altcoins right now. And once again, Tron might look great in this chart, but if we go to this USD chart, it's not looking too well. So at the end of the day, that's why we're focused on Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple. And in my opinion, just like Crypto Secret Circle says here, alts are pretty dangerous and risky right now. Rijo Berto says, thanks, you are the man. Thank you. That's humbling. I appreciate it. Like the video to prove that I am the man. Somebody says, no more snipers. No, we rebranded a Traders Profit Club because we are now adding Forex and stock into the things that we cover. So if you guys are not in our Discord, get onto our Discord, because all of our stock and Forex live streams are going to be posted on our other analyst channel. So you're not going to see that on our channel here, but you'll see that on the Discord, and you'll get those notifications when they are going live. Roy says, Naeem, what about DGB? DGB was always the hedge back in the day. DGB was that hedge against Bitcoin. You guys remember DGB back in the day? Well, I'm not going to go into these altcoins as much, just because, once again, our focus is not these altcoins. And this graph doesn't even give much information. There's just a lack of volume here. Let's pull up the Bitfinex chart. We'll see a lot more history here with DGB. And let's actually just ignore that, just because the chart doesn't look too well. There's just not enough volume there. Lay says, thoughts on VeChain's fundamentals and long-term price. Haven't heard much updates about VeChain. I don't know if you guys know this, but I advise over half a dozen blockchain startups. And so I do get to see what happens behind the curtains. And what I'll tell you right now is a lot of these companies are in a freeze. A lot of them are not moving forward. Majority of them are not generating revenue. And so it's been very hard for these companies to stay alive and stay afloat, because once again, if you're not generating revenue and all you did was raise funds, then now you have to conserve those funds. And so, they have to eliminate as much overhead as possible, and they have to keep their staff low, which makes the process of building their company and having their vision come to fruition a lot slower than it would be if they had consistent revenue coming in. Revenue will come in once we start to see use case, but once again, we're not necessarily seeing the use case on Tron or Ethereum or EOS, and that's why a lot of attention is going towards Bitcoin and Ripple. And the reason I say that is because Bitcoin, once again, it's limited in quantity. Therefore, there's that intrinsic value. And then with Ripple, the intrinsic value lies in the fact that they're partnering with so many banks right now, and those banks are starting to leave Swift and go and use the XRapid system because of how efficient and faster XRP is to use. So Roy says, Bitrix. Crypto Maestro says 84 viewers, 32 likes. Come on, guys, give Naeem a big like. Thank you, Crypto Maestro. Appreciate you, brother. So I don't want to take too much time during this live stream. It's 4:15 a.m. and I wanted to just really cover my analysis on Bitcoin so you guys had an idea of where my head is going right now and how I'm trading Bitcoin. And once again, if you guys are in our Discord, we post all of our trades on our Discord. We've been posting some awesome trades, making tons of gains, and that's for our premium members. You can join on our Patreon or tradersprofitclub.com for that. And our Discord is completely free if you guys just want to take advantage of our chat, and that link is in the description below. So other than that, I think we've covered everything. If there's anything else to cover, mention it in the chat, but that's pretty much it, guys. So a ton of new things coming for Traders Profit Club. We have a ton of developments. We have a course in the making. I just, as I mentioned earlier, partnered with a broker that allows you to trade stocks, crypto, and Forex on the same platform, MT4, which is one of the most user-friendly platforms on the mobile device, which is going to be cool to start teaching our students how to trade all of those, because once again, all of the opportunity is not just in crypto, but there's opportunity in Forex and Bitcoin. We've been killing the USD JPY trades. I don't know if you guys have been watching our trades on USD JPY, but we've been killing it and on the dot for every single one of these hits. So been pretty awesome. But once again, that's pretty much it for this live stream, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, Naeem out.